All right, so what we're doing today is something I've never actually ever done before, and we're going to try to bring back the original paint on this 72 Monte Carlo Custom that I'm going to eventually sell. I'll show you one spot over here I did last night. Now the hood wasn't quite as bad as this trunk lid, and the roof, I'm not so sure it has much hope, but we're not going to give up. This fender, I just buffed it last night, and oh wow. This hood, also, of course, you got thin spots in the paint, but I'm totally okay with that. But I just buffing this hood, tops of the fenders last night. It just made a world of difference. I'm okay with the paint being thin. That's totally fine. Just trying to get this stain off from where it was covered up in a tarp. So what we're doing now is working on the deck lid. And what I'm using is 1,000 grit with a true block. And what that hard block is doing, you'll notice I've talked about those in the other videos. What that's doing is it's allowing the block to knock down the rust stain, the surface rust, basically that's staining the paint and come to the top, but yet still preserve the green as best as possible. You can see where I've rubbed here with 1,000 grit versus over here, big difference. So I just hit that little area there with a buffer last night, and most of that came off. So, but still a little bit too stained to just buff on its own. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to bring this. Here's another area I hit with the buffer last night, just this little spot here. So I'm gonna try to bring back some of this original paint as best as I can. That'll make the car overall present better and be more of a preserved original car. I just think some cars need to be left alone, and this is one of them. I think it'd be a shame to paint this car when you can leave it like this and be presentable for a long time. So anyway, we'll pick back up in the next clip. I'm gonna put a video collage together here of doing this, and we'll see what we come up with. All right, so I wanted to show you the progress. This is clip number 2 of our collage here. You can see what we basically started with here, and I sanded up to the edge. Basically, I had to grab some 600 and knock down the roughest of the rough, and then come back over it with some 1,000. Again, this is the first time I've ever done this before, so I don't expect it to be perfection, but I just need the car to look better than what it does. So getting all this stain off the paint is a good start. So it's amazing that this brown is actually just like stain in the paint, and you actually sand most of that out, and then you've got green paint left. So this old lacquer is extremely hard. It's 50 years old, and so it's like sanding concrete. You won't really see a lot of the green coming off. There's not a lot on here, so be careful. But I'm going to continue to work on this trunk area, and then I'm going to get it buffed out, and then probably buff some on the sides, and then try to make a decision what I'm going to do on this roof. I'm pretty confident now from about here out on this roof it's probably going to at least slick up enough to shine and buff. This area here is probably not going to. But again, if I can get that rough off and it'll buff and give a little shine, I don't even care if it's not green anymore, if it's down to the primer. The main thing, we want to make it smooth and preserve what's here. And that's what we're going to try to do. So the only paint repair this car has had is here on this quarter. You can see the paint's flaked off and the paint is broadly cracked. So if it wasn't for that, this car would have totally original paint. But anyway, I just figured I would do this. I had some guy who made me a good offer on the car, and he's flaked. Done supposed to set up a rollback and everything, and I don't understand that. So anyway, I'm not gonna let that hold me up. I'm just gonna keep sanding, and if he calls back, then the price is gonna go up. Sorry, it's just the way it is. I'm not waiting on people. So this is what we got at this point, and we'll continue, and I'll show you the what process I'm going to use with the buffer. Okay, so we got all right, so we've got this sanded with 600,000, 1500. Of course, it's wet right now. I'm gonna get some clean water or detail spray and wipe the residue off, and I'm gonna hit it with a buffer and see what happens. Of course, there won't be as much paint left when we get done buffing, but it's gonna look way better than it did. So here we go. All right, so we just got done with a 3M compound polish on a foam pad, and then a Griot's Garage fast correcting cream on a foam DA buffer with a foam pad. And we've got a nice transition coming here. This is better than I thought it would come out. We basically got all the rust stain off of this thing. We've got a mirror reflection going on here. So from a few feet away, it looks just as good as any car it's painted. So the term 5-footer, 10-footer would come into play here. Perfectly okay for an original painted car. I'm gonna be real tickled with this when I get this done. So what I'm gonna do, I'm doing this as an informative video, but I'm also wanted to show you my process of what I'm doing to bring back original paint. And maybe it'll help y'all out in the future if you get something similar. Again, this is my first time trying to do this original paint stuff with this amount of stain in the paint, surface rust stain. And the surface rust just disappears. It's like, if it was surface rust, it would still be there. So it's like some type of weird aging that goes on with the paint. And, you can tell, of course, I mean, it's gone. So you can see the microscopic cracking in the lacquer. That's typical of a car like this with old paint. But I'm pretty confident at this point we're going to get most of the stain out on this roof with a 600 grit. And then we're going to, right in the middle is probably the only place we're going to have a huge issue, and there's going to still be some left there. So I've been working on this probably an hour, hour and a half, and we basically got this whole trunk lid area done. I'm going to take a little rest and do some of the lighter areas down the tops of the car and any spots on the side. That way I feel like I'm getting more accomplished because more of the car's done. And then probably the last, I'm going to start tackling the roof. I'll probably throw some blankets and all over the rest of the car when I get that far. So we will continue. All right, so moving right along, I got this side here pretty well polished out. It's kind of gotten dirty again in a few places, but what I wanted to show you is kind of a halfway on the roof. Roof was rough. I mean, like I said before, I don't know if it had any hope, but it's got some hope showing. So what we're going to show you here is, you can tell this has not been worked on. You know, real rough, and that over here has. You can actually see the green coming back in the, and that's what we're trying to bring back. We're trying to do away with the brown stain and get the green back showing as much as possible. We don't care about light spots or any of that, or you know, paint where the paint's going to be gone down to the primer. That's totally okay. But what we want to do is preserve as best as we can and get the color back. And just with working on this roughest area here with some 320 and some 600 from a few feet away, once this is all done and polished and compounded, except for right here in the very middle where you'd have to get close to see, the car is going to look green again. So, and it's going to have a shine to it, especially around the edges. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. It's definitely coming a long way. I hit the top of this fender again with some 1500 and repolished it. You can tell it's better than the hood now. So I'm going to end up going over that hood with sandpaper and buffing it out again, just to eliminate this this rough. The sandpaper will take care of all that. So, and again, using the hard True Block cut and buff process here with the hard block, it lets that block ride right on top of that rough. So you're not taking a whole lot of paint off. You're strictly cutting down the roughness in the paint that's caused from the car sitting under a tarp for several years. So anyway, we're going to do our best and preserve this original paint. So anyway, we'll continue, and this will have to be hit with 1,000 and 1,500 before it's ready to buff. But I got to get the other side now, so it's going to turn into an all-day operation here. But I think the results is going to be worth it. All right, so finishing up the video, I just wanted to show you the finished product we have here. Again, I hit the needed areas with the roof was a mess, so, but it's shining now. You've seen that in the last clip. 320, 600, 1,000, 1,500 compound 3M, and then Griot's DA heavy paint correction. Fast corrector on the Boss system. Of course, the car could be gone over with further steps, but for now, this is going to do. Someone who details cars on my Facebook page said to stay away from original paint with sandpaper, and I understand what he was saying. He does this stuff for a living, but in this situation, on as bad as this roof and trunk lid was, I just didn't see any other way around it. Maybe there is another way. If they are, let me know. But of course, I didn't do any sanding on the sides, just a few spots here where it was bad. But I think I did a pretty good job of saving the original paint. So anyway, this will be a part of the preserving original paint video. And of course, I'll be doing an updated video for the car itself now that the paint's been corrected, because the car is for sale. But again, basically, you can see the thin, the lightness in the paint, but it's way better than it was. So anyway, I'll show you some of what I use, some of the materials here. Basically, I'll show you the pads. Use the orange pad with the Griot's Garage dual action polisher, and then I use the foam pad with just 3M rubbing compound to get the scratches out. I don't use 3M rubbing compound anymore on anything. I use CSI, but on this car, just it was a good way to use it up. So also, let's see, where's the stuff here? Fast correcting cream. That's what I used to do it. And you could use just this or CSI or anything, but you'd probably want a wool pad. I was hesitant to use a wool pad on this car because I didn't want to burn too much paint off. I wanted to take off a minimum of paint, and that wool pad's going to take off way more than a foam pad. So anyway, this is what we've come out with. So if you have any paint preservation techniques you want to share, be sure to do so. And a situation that was as rough as this roof was, or in a spot basically is all the way down to the metal, I just don't see any other way that they could have been to preserve it. Of course, this quarter panel has had some repair work done, so it didn't turn out as good because it's cracked and got some flaking paint. But otherwise, I'm real happy with how it turned out. So thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Hope you enjoyed the paint restoration video. All right, so late night car spotting with Jared. What I wanted to show you here is kind of what you might would have seen in the early 70s. Getting crap, well, me, not groceries, getting automotive stuff, but in your would have been new 72 Monte Carlo. And then you look across the parking space and you see this 57 Chevy wagon. So it's a 210 wagon, satin black and white. So it's like it's got the original interior in the back seats. Somebody put some aftermarket bucket seats, but it's a 6-cylinder car going by the emblem on the back. But just flashback, if you will, you know, to the early 70s, that Monte Carlo would have been brand new. That 57 would have been 15 years old. And people also put their buggies up back then like they were supposed to. So take that as a lesson. But this would have been pretty close to what you would have been seeing here in the parking lot. And again, besides the modifications on that car, it's pretty simple. You'd also had a car that the trunk light would have still worked, so this is pretty period correct, so kind of neat. But anyway, just wanted to show y'all that for the YouTube family. But you would have not gotten your new 72 Monte Carlo and seen a 6970 sport wheel unless someone had that dealer installed. I guess that was possible because that wheel was already available. But so yeah, anyway, just a few thoughts. 57 Chevy 210 wagon here in Anderson, South Carolina. Never have seen it before. It's never been to a cruise-in or a car show, so don't know whose it is. But if you see the video, comment, let me know it's your car. I like it. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time. I'll do some more of this random car spotting in the future. All right.